Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
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 Morning, Brian.
Morning.
Morning.
Hello, everyone.
Morning, all.
Morning.
Okay, I'll make it 10 o'clock. I think most of you have seen me before. My name is Luciane Bauker. I work for Democratic Services and I'm the clerk for this meeting. So this is the first meeting of the new academic year, and the first item in the agenda is the election of chair. So I'm going to begin with asking forum members to put nominations forward for a chair, please. Please, you just put your microphone on and your camera on and you can speak. So we need nominations for chair.
Happy to nominate Brian.
Who is that, Darren?
It's Darren, yeah.
Thank you, Darren.
That's okay, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Darren.
Can
Good.
anybody second that?
I'm happy to second him, Shirley.
Sure.
Thanks,
Are there any other nominations? Can I put to the vote then? If you put your virtual hand up if you are in favor of voting for Brian for chair. Okay, I can see a lot of hands going up. Yeah, okay. Brian, over to you. You've been elected chair for the next academic year.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Welcome back for another year. We're going to go through for a vice chair. If there's any nominations, I'd like to nominate Deborah. If anyone would like to second that. Shirley, thank you, Shirley. Any other nominations? So we need to put that to vote as well. So if you can put your hands up virtually if you approve, want to vote for Deborah to be the vice chair this year. Again, lots of hands. Welcome back, Deborah.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you, Forum.
It's worked, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What we've done there has.
Right. I have apologies from Phil Sherwood. They've got currently have Ofsted. I don't think there's any other apologies. Is there, Lucian? Nope.
We have apologies from Mark Weder, but he sends his substitute, Julia Franks.
Oh, Judith, that's right. Yeah. Lovely. Thank you.
I think Amanda has notified that she has to leave at I think 11 o'clock or 20 past 11.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you. Right. Just going through the minutes of the previous meetings. I'm not going to read them all. Just go through. If there's anyone's picked up anything factually that's incorrect, could they just please raise their hands and let us know. Darren, you've got your hand up. Was that a legacy?
Legacy, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah. Ian Morgan, everything okay?
Just that I did attend and I'm not in the list of attendees.
Lovely, thank you. We can get that added to you. Thanks, Ian. Anything else on page 1? Sorry, be page 8 will be on the next page, page 8. Page 9. And page, oh, sorry, I think I've got the wrong one. That's wrong. Sorry, I'll start again. Page 11 we've got. Page 12. Page 13. And then page 14. No. So they're all approved. Thank you, Alexander, if you want to take care of that one. And next item is any declarations of interests. which we have none. Brilliant. And then the school forum membership review. We have been through this. Luciana, do you want to sort of lead us through this? Because we did have a discussion regarding this area, didn't we?
Yes, I think members will have read the report, and there haven't been too many changes since the last time this was reviewed. This is an annual review of the membership, just to make sure that the membership continues to be reflective of the types of schools that we have in the borough and the number of pupils per each school. So there's been a shift in the primary schools of about 10% of schools have now moved to academies, as has been the case in the last few years. So in that respect, Schools Forum has a choice to make. Do you continue with 3 primary maintained school members, or do you shift to having just 2 primary maintained school members and increase the number of academy primary members? So that's the first thing Schools Forum is asked to consider today. And the other thing that has happened is that we have had a request from the union to include someone in the membership. They have sent a report, which I think you would have read. Should Schools Forum decide to accept them as members, that would increase the total number of members from 23 to 24. I think it's been accepted that having 23 members is a number that works. In the past, we had very large meetings and that didn't work so well. So I think the recommendation is to keep the membership as close to 23 as possible. Do you have anything to add to my comments, Brian?
Not at all. Has anyone else got any other comments they'd like to add at all? I agree. We did have quite a large member on membership originally on School Forum, and it was very difficult to make any decisions or move forward on things. Liz?
It was just about the school business managers. Now that Carol's left, there's I know obviously we've got the primary and secondary represented by head teachers as well, but there's only a few school business managers.
Yes, and actually we've just had to come forward someone with the school who would like their business manager to be part of School Forum, which is something that we'd definitely need to be looking into. So then we have got that balance again of not just all head teachers, it's business managers as well. Unfortunately, we'd like a governor on the School Forum, but we're finding that difficult to get as well.
Yeah, just before we move on, I'll add to that. We do need a governor member. It's part of the regulations that we should have at least one governor. But in the last couple of years, we've struggled to recruit. So if you look at the list of membership, which is Appendix 1, we do have a couple of vacancies in there. So if head teachers could identify governors within their schools that they think would be, suitable to sit in Schools Forum. In the past, we usually have had people with backgrounds in finance, and they made a very, very, very good contribution. So, yeah, absolutely, a call out goes out there to try and recruit governors to Schools Forum. I think Michelle Purdy has got her hand up.
Michelle.
Yes, hi. I'm here from the NEU. I put the motion forward to answer any questions. Thank you, Lucienne, for inviting me as well. Obviously, the guidance on the DFE does say that you should have community-based non-school members in your Schools Forum, and it does state unions in there, as is in the report. When we look at our other neighbouring local authorities, they all do have an elected union representative. At the moment, we're obviously only putting the motion for us as the NEU. We do believe you should have other unions on there, but we are the largest. We represent the largest union in Wokingham, certainly for teacher members. But that's why we've put that motion in. We're only asking, it would only be one more person, particularly when you do have a number of vacancies. I think the non-school members should be opened up to us to include us, whether then that means less numbers in other areas of membership. But another big reason is that actually Schools Forum also funds my time. I am a teacher as well, and my colleague Kelly, who does it with me, as a teacher, and you have control of the budget over the facilities release time, and without us being in there, we aren't able to present to you what we do with that. And it's very important. You are supposed to have an oversight of Schools Forum of what facilities time, what me and Kelly actually do. I have 2 days off teaching to do it. Kelly has a day. And that is also out for renegotiation at the moment, which is very important that we again are able to come back to you with what we're negotiating with Wokingham and present that to you so you're able to see the benefit of it. But I'm happy to answer any questions on it too.
Thank you, Michelle. Ming.
Thanks, Brian. I just want to double check with Lucian, local authority 2 representative there. I assumed that one of them is me, myself. I think another one is the member representatives. Am I right, Lucian?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Two local authority representatives in list there. I assume one of them is me. Who's another person? Is a
Catherine
member.
Glover.
Oh, okay, good. So both have a voting right
Yes.
at this meeting. Okay. I just want to be clarified.
Thank you. Okay, so ultimately with our current structure of 23, which then represents the schools, we're looking at possibly in the maintain section, school business manager or a governor, and also
Sorry,
the
Brian, there's somebody else with a hand up.
Oh, sorry, Julia.
Yeah, just a quick question. Can trustees stand as members instead of governors?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yes.
This is one of those areas that the legislation is so old and it hasn't caught up. But yes, indeed, Paul Miller sat as chair for good numbers of years, and he went from being a governor to a trustee, which is the equivalent thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
My understanding is that yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I'll take that back.
That'd be good. Thank you. And then the other vote is around if we increase it from 23 to 24 to include the union representation. Do we do the 23 to 24, Lisanne? Is that okay if we go from that one there, which then would
Schools
allow...
forum can change, yeah. You can absolutely do what you want with the membership.
Okay, so the first vote will be on whether we increase from 23 to 24 to allow a position for the unions to be on. So if you're in favour, we need to go through each person. So if you could sort of just say yes or no, so then we take it from there. Mark is not here. Julia, Franks, you are substituting for Mark. So is it a yes or a no?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Nikki?
Yes.
Thank you, Nikki. Julia?
Yes.
Thank you. Phil is not here. Neres?
Yes.
Thank you. Raha?
Yes.
Thank you, Raha. Liz?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Darren?
Yes.
Thanks, Darren. Shirley?
Yes.
Thanks, Shirley. Jenny?
Yes.
Thank you, Jenny. Amanda?
Yes.
Thanks, Amanda. Deborah?
Yes.
Yes. David or Linda?
I think yes, but one question, Brian, is if another union then approaches us, will we go through the same thing again, or does that have one spot for a union?
We're looking at one spot for a union just currently at the moment.
Yeah. Yes.
Then we'd have to go through the whole process again and look at membership structure from there. Yeah. Thanks, David. Ian? Thomas?
Yes, Brian.
Thanks, Ian. Kerry?
Yes.
Thanks, Kerry. Ian Morgan?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Thanks, Catherine. Ming? Ming, are you yes? No?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Ming. And Steve? He's representing post 16. Not there. And myself, yes, so that's unanimous. So welcome along, Michelle. The next part is just on, do we keep the current structure with maintained, or do we move a maintained through to academies? We to help sort of maybe with your decision on this, we have got someone from Maintains who has put themselves forward, which would be a school business manager. And then we're looking for an academy rep after that. So is everyone, if I just go through again, is everyone yes, that you're happy with the current structure? If not, we will move the Maintain to primary. So we're voting for yes, keeping with the current 23. Nikki?
Just to say that we've got an academy order in place and looking to join in March or April.
Yeah. So
yeah.
we've always got to go by September this time of year.
Okay.
Maintain,
Okay, sorry.
And then next year we review it from there. Yeah.
Sorry, Brian. Just to make clear, you're voting on whether to keep the current structure of 3 maintained reps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So if we go through Mark, Julia, you're the first on the list here. Julia Franks.
Yep, sorry. Yes, yeah. I mean, I haven't been on this before, so I'll say yes, but I do believe perhaps we should have an academy on here as well.
Yeah, I would say next year we'll definitely be moving that one to an academy.
Just to make it clear, if you look at Appendix A, it shows exactly what the structure is. You seem to think, was that Julia, that we don't have primary academy reps. We do.
We do, yeah.
More than maintained. At the moment, we're only left with 3 vacancies for maintained primary schools because a lot of schools have converted to academies. So if you look at Appendix A, you see clearly what we're trying to ascertain.
Yeah.
I'm just worried that it's not clear to people. Are people clear on what this is?
So currently we have in total 15 academy reps, 7 primary, 6 secondary, and maintained sector. There's no more. I'm aware of secondary schools that are maintained, so it's only 3 reps representing the maintained sector. So,
yeah, it's page 19 of the agenda pack.
Yeah.
Brian.
Yep.
I'm still a maintained school until January, so I'm under maintained, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Lovely.
Okay. That's a yes from you, Nikki. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Julia.
Yes.
Yes. Bill's not here. On the yes. Nides.
Yes.
Thank you. Raha.
Yes.
Thank you. Liz.
Yes.
Thank you. Darren.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks. Shirley. Sorry, Shirley. Was that a yes?
Shirley, we couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
So in terms of throughout the year, it's probably worth looking at each meeting. Something that's going to change throughout the year, isn't it?
Shirley, do you have your microphone on? It's not clear what you're saying.
I think Shirley, it will change during the year, but what we're going to do is take into account where we're currently sitting, and then we'll have to be reviewed for September next year.
So yes.
Yes, great. Thank you.
I'm nodding if you can't hear me.
Yes, thank you. Jenny?
Yes.
These are meetings that have been posted, aren't they? Yes.
Thank you. Amanda?
Yes.
Thank you. David and Linda?
Yes.
Yep. Ian Thomas?
Yes, for me.
Thanks, Ian. Kerry?
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you heard, but yes.
Yes, thank you, Kerry. Ian Morgan?
Yes.
Thank you, Ian. Catherine?
Yes.
Thank you. Ming?
Yes.
Thank you. Steve? Anything is here? Michelle, you can vote on this now. Michelle?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Right, so that's great. So then we just need to look at recruiting those new members. And I have a conversation with a couple of people who have come forward already, which is great. All right, moving forward. So let's go back to my agenda. which I seem to have lost. Lisa, can you help me here? I can't see, my pack's got all mixed up, going from bits to pieces here, what the next item was. We are on to...
I think it's revenue budget monitoring with Angela.
Yes, the revenue budget monitoring. Thank you, Angela.
Okay, hi. Yes, we've got a revenue budget monitoring update paper. I wasn't proposing to read through the paper in details. I'm hopefully you've all had a chance to read through. Looking at our forecast, we've moved from a deficit at the start of the year of 10.2 to a forecast of an outturn of 15.9, which sits within the high needs block, the school block, and the early years are progressing as we would expect. The key changes are sitting within the high needs block, and as set out in the paper, it's a mix of increase in EHCPs, increase in the costs of the independent non-maintained special school placements, and a mix of the EOTAS tutor costs and resource bases. So it's spread across the high needs budget to varying degrees. Unfortunately, the appendix that's attached for this paper is an incorrect one. I'm not sure what's happened there. We've had some issues with our sort of SharePoint syncing at this end. It's, you know, when you try new technology, it doesn't always work the way you'd like to. But the figures within the narrative are the correct ones. I wasn't proposing to say any more about that, because I know Jonathan will be addressing the sort of safety valve and the high needs side of things in a moment. So we're just asking the forum to note the contents.
Thank you, Angela. Is there any questions from anyone regarding Angela's report? No. Thank you. And we'll get more information, as you see, from Jonathan regarding the high needs, because that has gone up quite significantly on what was projected. Yeah. Ian.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the correct section to deal with this. Obviously, it says in the early years block, there's no in-year variance. This time of year, we normally get a report back from finance regarding the early years block from the previous year, because obviously we had the outturn in July, and there's normally in previous years been a surplus coming back to early years providers, and I don't see any mentions of that anywhere in the agenda or in this section.
Thank you.
Okay,
Angela.
Yeah, we can take that away and have a look at that. I wasn't aware of that being a paper, but I'll certainly have a look at that for you.
Yeah, I mean, it normally happens around about this time of year, because it's a bit complicated with the early years
yes,
block,
it's the time lag on things. I would say, and we are experiencing delays on a lot of information this year. I think post sort of government change, things have slowed down on all kinds of fronts that you wouldn't necessarily expect it to have impacted, but that's what we're seeing. But yeah, I'll certainly have a look at that and get back to you on that.
It's certainly a question that
because I know we've
be asked.
before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So can we put that as an action for next meeting to have the information?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay, thank you. The report's been recognised. Thank you very much. I'm guessing this will be Jonathan and Ming on a bit of a joint one here regarding the DSG management plan, the safety valve update.
Yes, shall I step in, Ming? Were you going to say a word before I start, or shall I jump in?
Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan, go ahead to do it.
Okay. Chair, with your permission, I'll do the two items I've got in reverse order, because many of the items from the second, I cover much of it in the same report, but I'll cover the vote, the block transfer vote, and progress around safety valve in largely in the same presentation, if that's okay.
That's fine. Yep.
I'll share my screen. Just give me a second to share. Can everyone see that? I'll go into presentation mode to make it a bit bigger.
Yes. Yeah, we can see it. Thank you.
So, I mean, as is clear, and as people I'm sure have been hearing in this sort of lot of media coverage, the nationally as locally, the SEND system remains under immense pressure. There's a national crisis, I think it was widely acknowledged. Our growth in the EHC plan numbers remains higher than the national picture over the last couple of years, particularly. We've had an increase of 30% in the EHC plans over the past 2 years alone. As has just been reported, our deficit is escalating faster than predicted, despite lots and lots of activity to get to grips with that increase. As you've seen already, the main driver, or the particular driver of that is growth in use of independent sector provision, as well as the sheer volume of EHC plans we're having to fund. As Schools Forum will recall, as you well know, we're part of the Safety Valve initiative, and last year we made the request to Schools Forum to look at a transfer of 1% of the schools block to the High Needs block, and to contribute towards the wide range of measures that are in place. I mean, I could perhaps say something. I might jump forward slightly to talk about the work that's underway to address that and some of the challenges we're facing around that, and then come back to the vote. Just give me a second. So I'm going to talk about some of the. I mean, there's a lot to be dismayed about, certainly, but there's, as I hope members will recognise, there's a lot of activity underway. But we're playing catch up. The bottom line is we're playing catch up with the position we find ourselves in, and you know, we will and are making massive impacts, but it's not keeping pace with the scale of increase of demand. We've had 2 new resource bases open in the last few months. We've got the 2 new special schools on the way. I need to report to Forum that the presentation that's gone out talked about a delayed opening date of September 2027. In recent weeks, we've had a meeting with the DfE where they're talking now about an opening date of 2028, which is immensely disappointing. And we are in robust conversation with the DfE as to why that extra year is required. And we are pushing back. In the meantime, we're looking at other mitigations, because that extra year's delay will cost us significantly, because as you've seen, the increase in independent sector placements is one of our major challenges, and with those 2 schools delayed by a further year, that's going to cause us additional pressure. So we are looking at a range of other options to either bring that forward, make that happen a bit earlier, or to look at alternative measures in terms of additional resource and additional provision in other ways. Having said that, there's been significant investment from the local authority, both in the SEND team and the educational psychology service. We know, as schools will be well aware, we've had a very challenging period with our own casework team. You know, it hasn't been as stable as it needs to be, and we are getting to grips with that. But additional investments have been put in there to stabilise that team, and to increase investment in the educational psychology service, to increase capacity there. Area Senko team is doing good work. You know, they've engaged with almost every school, is actively engaged with the Area Senko service. We've invested significantly more in our outreach services, and the uptake and use of those services has increased significantly from last year. So we know and hope that schools are making good use of those services, and we're certainly getting very good feedback in terms of the impact that's having. A major piece of work we're underway, and I know many schools, we reported on this at last Schools Forum, was around the banding framework. We have, since the last meeting, now pushed the button on investing in Imosphere, which is the product we've been considering with a range of school leaders in the room alongside us, and we're progressing well with that change around the banding framework. In terms of finance, obviously there's a lot of people eagerly awaiting the financial impact of that. We're modelling the financial impact in the coming months, and that announcements will follow. But just to let you know, we are progressing. That is moving at pace, and we are we've invested in that new system, and you'll hear more in due course about the implications of that. But that will certainly help us get to grips with equity of spend across the system and ensuring there's more transparency in terms of how that money is used. We've had a lot of activity around the multi-agency inclusion clinic and the alternative provision space. We know that's not where it should be, but there's been a major step forward there. We've had a lot, I think now it's over 70 referrals to that clinic, and I think we've had really good feedback from schools about the quality of advice coming back from there. So again, helping schools in terms of inclusion, in terms of managing need and meeting needs earlier, even prior to the HC level. Also got a range of projects funded through the Innovation Improvement Fund. We're funding nurture bases in a number of schools. 4 have been approved. I think there's another batch I think that need to be approved. So, as I hope members will recognise, there is a large volume of transformative work happening, and it is improving and it is beginning to bite, but it's not currently able to keep pace with the sheer explosion in demand we're seeing. I mean, the picture is equally daunting nationally as it is locally, but we really believe and really hope you'll see that we are moving in the right direction and improving the support for schools around inclusion, and we'll begin to get to grips with these escalating pressures. Moving back to the vote itself, we consulted, as you were aware, last year on a 1% transfer. That was resoundingly rejected. We understand the reasons for that with the financial pressures. We came up with a different model that apportioned the costs of that contribution from the schools book more equitably, placed less of the burden on primaries and smaller schools and more of it on secondaries. And we've used that model again for the proposals this year. Unfortunately, we haven't had any budgetary information from the DfE at this point because of the delays caused by the general election. We haven't had that. I think it did land yesterday, but not in time for us to bring it to you, I'm afraid, today. But we therefore were unable to present in our proposals what the financial implication for each school was going to be. But broadly speaking, it will be in line with last year's projections, with quite a significant number of schools not contributing at all, and primaries particularly not contributing more. Most of the burden will fall on secondary schools. We consulted, as you'll be aware, over the last sort of three weeks between 14th of October. Just the survey only finished on Friday, which is why it's been I'm sorry about the delay in getting this information out to schools. Obviously, it would have been better to get it out to you sooner, but that's why I'm presenting it today. I think we probably expected we wouldn't be able to present it before the meeting itself. Anyway, to cut to the chase, the result of that survey has been closer than I was expecting, I must confess, but we've had a 57% majority of schools in favour of the 0.5% transfer. There was very, very limited support. I'll go on to the actual details. Very limited support for the 1% transfer. As you're aware, that's included and baked into our safety valve agreement, but we weren't, frankly, that optimistic about it. We totally understand the financial position schools find themselves in, and we're not expecting that to be approved. Delighted to say, although rather a slim majority, schools have voted in favour of the 0.5% transfer, not an overwhelming majority, and certainly a lower level than last year. And I'll come on to what we understand to be the reasons for that in a moment. It's worth saying, though, that the turnout this time is really strong. We've had virtually 72% of schools voting on this, so it really does represent the majority of you. Last year, even with the October revisit, we only had about, I think, 60 or so % of schools were voting. So obviously, this is in all of your interest to pay attention to this, and you obviously have this time. Worth saying that in terms of support for no transfer at all, not an insignificant number of schools, voting against that transfer at all, but significantly fewer than for the 0.5% transfer. So that was the clear majority view. Obviously, it's given us pause for thought in terms of why the numbers are, the level of support perhaps has been rather lower than we'd hoped and expected. I mean, I'll start with the positives. Schools that have voted in favour were more or less saying, almost every school mentioned budgetary pressures in the response. Every school said, this is no easy decision to make. This is going to cause an impact on my school. And we can't, we're not eager to do this. But many, the schools that supported the measure were saying they recognise the need for schools to play a part in that wider system and to support all of our efforts in turning the corner, and that will provide benefits for all. And I hope, as I say, that seemed to be the majority view. But to really look at why schools were unable to support it, finance is the overarching reason. Some schools felt that without the detail, they were unable to vote for a measure where they didn't know the actual literal detail for their particular school and for some of their neighbouring schools. So schools were saying they recognised that they had a role to play, but until they knew the detail, they were unable to vote in support. Understandable, but somewhat disappointing, because that was through no fault of us as a council. It's simply the position we found ourselves in with the DfE. Some concerns around impact from last year's contribution. Perhaps we've not been, shining enough of a light on the impact that we are having, that funding has enabled us to do. But I've covered that momentarily, and happy to take more questions on what else we're doing about the position we find ourselves in. But also verbally, a number of schools mentioned the National Order Office. Recently, the report landed in the midst of the consult, in the midst of the survey. And as you'll be aware, for those of you that have seen it or read the headlines, that's more or less saying the safety valve as a programme is not delivering, nor is delivering better value, and that there's more fundamental reform required to the SEND system. And I think some schools verbally were saying to us, why we were unwilling to contribute to a programme that's not delivering, frankly, nationally. I think our argument in response to that would be we are making transformative changes that regardless, even if you set safety valve to one side, regardless of safety valve, we need to transform our system locally. We need to make these changes, and we hope, I hope we've got the support of schools in seeing that we are heading in the right direction. We are making major improvements. Safety valve itself may not be the solution, and there will be need for more fundamental reform, and we're all anticipating there's going to be a lot of change, as we're all aware, over the coming years, particularly around curriculum changes and the consultations about to launch next year. We all know there's change coming, and this is really gearing us up to be well prepared to respond to those changes when they come, in terms of Ofsted, in terms of the curriculum changes and so on. So we recognise, we are recognising safety valve is not the solution, but it's a significant contributor helping us move us in the right direction. So I'm just reporting what schools have said, and I'm reporting our view is that whilst that may not be the answer, it's certainly not doing us any harm in terms of accessing that additional funding from the DfE to take us in the right direction. I've covered that in terms of the activity. It's worth saying, I think schools that are unhappy with the concept of a schools block transfer, it's worth saying in many, many areas, this is custom and practice. This has been custom and practice for many years. I know that's not the case in Wokingham. I know we've had many years where that hasn't happened, but in most areas, and what the DfE recognised in their analysis of high-performing systems was that was fairly standard, that schools block contribution is a feature of high-performing, and there aren't many high-performing areas left, because everyone, let's face it, we're facing a systemic challenge here. But that is a feature of most effective systems, and therefore not something we're not. This is not. I would not. I want people not to see this as this is by no means a bailout. This is a small contribution towards a challenge that the local authority and the DfE are putting significantly higher levels of funding into. It's almost a symbolic sign of support for the changes we're trying to make to the system. And I do hope and I believe that school leaders know where we are moving in the right direction. Maybe not the pace you would wish, but we're going as fast as we can. And I think that, there is a positive message here in terms of the direction we're travelling in. Before, I'm not sure whether to pause and take some questions at that point, Brian, or whether to move. There's another matter attached, which is the disapplication request, but I might deal with that as a separate matter. Should we pause for?
I think we need to pause and look at some any questions or feedback from people. I've got a couple of questions. Ming, do you want to jump in first?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Sorry, I sit in somewhere network in office not very good. To let me know you cannot hear what I said. Yeah, Jonathan sum up the service really well. We want to give you a transparent, clear picture, the barren picture. When I read the feedback, and also when I discussed with some head teacher, I was really moved by some the comments made by the head teacher, like that all head teachers fully understand we are part of the system. This is not just about local authority, this is about our system, how we align our budget. I kind of can let sense everyone understand that. At the same time, head teacher to talk to me about difficult financial situation we are in. I fully appreciate that. I think in that context, we get a majority vote. I'm really grateful for that. Doesn't matter you vote yes or no. I equally grateful because your feedback, the information are so valuable to us. We are all in a challenging situation nationally, locally, school, local authority. You considering local authority also in a similarly difficult situation, have to put in millions of what we call equalization funding on local authority. Let's not local authority, all local authority doing that. We're doing that. We get a very positive movement from health colleagues as well. Health contributions start to be made, which is really positive as well. So as Jonathan said, this is about partnership. Although DLV said, oh, you can ask us to give a direction. We try not to do that. We think this is the share ownership of SEND system. We should, like last year, share our strong partnership. We work together, particularly now school inclusion is such a big thing in the new DLV thinking, in the Ofsted thinking as well. I think that's really important. Just last things, I'd like to say that last year we agree with school leader with certain formula, make sure we have fair and equitable. I mean, it depends on schools' financial situation. We work out a formula, so which means some school will pay less, while some primary school, very small one, or the one with the minimum budget guarantee will not pay. So we knew that agreed formula, like Jonathan said, unfortunately, we do not have DLV figure until last night, yesterday afternoon. So we are going to work on that. But what I can guarantee wouldn't be hugely different from last year. So I just want to add what Jonathan just said. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Prue, welcome.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for letting me speak on this. So this is very difficult for everybody because none of us have got the funding that we need to do the jobs that we need to do. So I want to reflect first of all on the need for partnership. I do feel that as an education system in Woking, we have moved a long way, and that we do all recognise that we have to stick together. That nobody can do this in isolation, and if we end up fighting each other, that's not going to help either, because there's a huge threat. I mean, the safety valve is in a way neither here nor there, because the education funding, the mainstream education funding, isn't enough, and the SEND funding is, as the National Audit Office thing showed, just not financially sustainable nationally, and we have to cling on. I think our feeling is in the council, we have to cling on to safety valve. Well, there's nothing else. Because it's helping keeping us afloat, even though it's a drop in the ocean what we're getting from the DFE. I'm very grateful to those schools who have responded to the survey and agreed to the 0.5%, and we'll see what the Schools Forum votes on in a minute. But completely understand that the 1% is almost an impossible ask when we've got so many schools on the minimum guaranteed income and so on. But the 1% is really the difference is really not material. I mean, it is money, but the gap is so huge that the challenges, such a national challenge, that honestly it wouldn't rescue us to have 1% and not 0.5%. And I think it's more, I'm really worried about what the future is, because I don't see the government responding in as big a way as is necessary. They're tinkering at the edges still. We can't go on like this. So I think that National Audit, if you haven't read it, read the National Audit Office report, because it is quite clear that we can't go on like this. So thank you to all of you for joining with us. We know that things are not perfect. We're trying hard. I know you guys are equally trying hard on your side, and we do appreciate it. And as I say, the most important thing is that we stick together, because we're really up against it in Wokingham on the funding side across all of the education system.
Thank you, Prue. Michelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. The vote, does it have jurisdiction in terms of taking that money? Is it just local authority schools, or does it cover any academies that are in the Wokingham district, or can they opt out?
No, it covers all schools in Wokingham.
Okay.
Some schools don't have to contribute due to the fact they've got MFG, which is minimum funding guarantee.
Yeah, the smaller schools. Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily smaller schools. It's just a historic thing that's come through. But schools last year the difficulty we had this year for Wokingham is that the indicative budgets have been delayed from the DfE because of the change of government, whereas last year we got the figures and we could outline what that would cost for schools. But as Jonathan highlighted, it's going to be the same schools and it's going to be a very similar type figure.
Okay.
So everyone's very aware of the impact. Schools that aren't affected are also very aware of the impact it is for neighbourhood schools as well. And so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. Any other questions? I've got a couple for you. Sorry, Jonathan.
Okay, looking forward to them.
One, just going through, I was reading through last night your report. With the delay in the schools being opening,
yes,
what impact is that going to have on the funding that we've got and the bits coming through? Because obviously you had a plan with that in mind. So what impact is that going to have on schools and on the funding there? Because obviously if we continue to do the 0.5%, if it goes through, then we want to see where that's going. But if there's, I guess there was a bit of an end goal with additional special schools, with additional places, that's going to help ease pressure. If that's going to be delayed another year, and we're seeing the deficit's gone from 10 million to 15 million already so far this year, how more of an impact is that delay going to be?
Well, we've done some projections, assuming, as is almost certainly the case, that the places that would the children would otherwise go into those schools will have to go into an independent sector. It may not be as simple as that, but assuming the kind of worst case scenario of those children having to go into the independent sector and taking an average cost in the independent sector, from the original planned and proposed opening date of September 2026, which we felt had we delivered them, we could have done, that 2-year delay ultimately will cost us an additional almost 20 million over what we would have been able to achieve with those schools in place. With a 12-month, even with a 12-month delay, we'd almost braced ourselves for the 12-month delay because we'd almost come to, things were moving so slowly we could see that was likely. That alone was going to cost us about 10 million additional placement costs. So it has a severe impact, and that is without mitigation. There is more we can do, and we are doing now, to address those gaps. It won't be as bad as that, but if we just carried on and accepted the delay and carried on as we were, it would cost us an additional 20 million, which is absolutely, it's a huge figure, no question about that. What we are doing though is exploring a number of options to either get some of those places available earlier through satellite provision, which may be possible, not making any promises, or by simply bringing to bear additional. We think by well, this is not yet signed off and agreed, but I think our working assumption is we will need more resource base and send unit provision, which we can deploy far more rapidly and will alleviate the pressure and alleviate pressure on existing special schools and thereby make the whole system a bit more sustainable.
Do we know the reasoning why there was the delay?
What's really dismayed us is that it's built around a huge length of time for the procurement process. Procurement, they've allowed time for the procurement process that we don't think is necessary, and we are pushing back and challenging that really hard at the moment. But as it stands, that's the figure they're talking to us about. As I say, that's not a done deal. We are not taking that line down, and we could still, we believe, step in and deliver the capital programme more quickly than they're talking about doing it. But we are in dialogue with the DfE about that at the moment. So it may not come to pass, but we have to announce here, as it currently stands, that's what the DfE are talking about in terms of timescale.
Thank you. Ming, you end up down. You're okay.
Yeah, I think Jonathan just said that. I just want to say that we are in a regular dialogue with the DfE. internal the pace of delivery of the 2-3 school, also any possible mitigations. We have a few asks of DFE. I think that's the conversation we are having with the department. Just want to reassure everyone really.
No, I just think for all of us, we'll just be looking at that 0.5% if the transfer goes through, you know, what the impact will be further on if we're not getting some of the end goals that they're proposing. Right, any other questions? No, so we need to move to the vote about the 0.5% moving from school block through to the high needs block. Traditionally, School Forum has sort of used the consultation as a guidance because that's, you know, coming through from all schools, and I know that we've all been part of the process of voting, so I think we just need to consider what we've done historically and looking at that school consultation that's come through and used it as a bit of a guidance. So I'll just go through each name, and then if you could just say yes, that you agree with the 0.5 transfer, or no, you do not agree with the 0.5% transfer. So Mark, we've got apologies. He didn't send any information through, did he, Lisanne? No.
He said.
Oh, sorry. Julia.
It's a no.
A no. Thank you. Nikki.
No.
No. Julia.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Phil hasn't sent anything through. Neres?
No.
No. Raha?
No.
Liz? Sorry, Liz?
No.
No. Darren?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Shirley? Sorry, Shirley? Abstaining. Okay. Jenny?
Yes.
I've got finished with Doncaster Journal. See what I mean?
Sorry, Amanda?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Deborah?
Journal. Yes.
Yes, thank you. David? Linda?
Yes.
Yes. Ian Thomas?
Yes.
Yes. Kerry?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Ian Morgan?
I'm going to abstain, Brian, as it's a schools block decision, so and I'm early years.
Okay, thank you. Catherine? Sorry, is Kath?
Abstain. Sorry.
Sorry, abstain. Okay. Ming?
Yes.
Yes. Steve is not here. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so 9 people voted for, 5 people voted against, and 3 people abstained. You haven't voted yet, Brian.
I said yes, sorry, yes.
So, okay, so that makes 10. So it's carried.
It's carried. Okay. Thank you. Jonathan, for your presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
I think one more vote is required. I think Jonathan was going to go back to this application.
To go to this application through that one now.
I don't think I need to go back to my presentation because this is a relatively simple matter. We are able to apply for a oh, sorry, Michelle's got her hand up. Do you want to come in before I start, Michelle?
Oh, sorry, Michelle.
I was just going to say, I didn't know if I was supposed to vote on it, just for
yeah, sorry, Michelle.
technical reasons, but I would have abstained on it. Yeah.
Right, cheers. Thank you. Sorry about that. That's my fault.
Sorry, coming back to this, we are able to apply for a disapplication of funding levels for our all through school. We do this every year because the standard funding levels are deemed insufficient, and we are able to apply, but we have to come to Schools Forum for a decision on that disapplication request. I think every other year previously it's been approved. We included this in the school survey and resoundingly had an 86% approval for this. So almost every school, well, the majority, vast majority of schools agreed. There were 5 abstentions, so almost 10% 10% voted against, and there were 2 abstentions on this. But fairly clearly, most schools are in support of this measure, and it's something we've done every other year. So that needs to come to Schools Forum for a vote, though.
Yes, that was about 90%.
87% in favour. So 44 votes in favour, 5 against, and 2 abstentions from the whole of the school, the survey. And that was as I say, that was 51 schools responding in total. So 72% of schools have voted on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, again, historically, we've followed the consultation that's gone out to schools, and it's been quite significant majority of people in favour of these all through to be going through. So we'll just go through the list again. But yes or no. So Julia?
No.
No. Okay. Nikki?
No.
Julia?
Yes.
Bill said yes. Yes. Nerez?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain. Raha?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Liz?
Yes.
Yes. Darren, are you abstaining?
I think I need to, Brian, because it relates to a school in my trust.
That's yes. I thought so. Yeah.
I think you all know where I would vote.
Yeah. Shirley?
Yes.
Jenny?
Which doesn't make
Yes.
why when you click on receipt,
Amanda?
it comes up with nothing.
Yes.
Yes. Deborah?
You think
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
David or Linda?
Yes.
Yes. Ian Thomas?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Kerry?
Yes.
Yes. Ian? Morgan?
Abstain again.
Okay. Then we have Catherine?
Abstain.
Abstain. Ming?
Yes.
Yes. Steve's not here. Michelle?
I'll abstain.
Abstain. Okay, thank you. Look at my one ticks. I think we're saying we are majority of saying yes, that this application can go through. Lovely, thank you. Deficit schools contingency fund distribution. I'm not sure who was leading on that to give us information regarding that one. Is that Angela?
Sorry, turn my microphone on. Yes, that's me.
Yeah, Angela, yeah.
Thank you.
Again, there's a paper that's gone out setting the scene for this. We have a small contingency, just sort of following on from the big numbers in the high needs. We've got a small contingency of £55,000 for a number of years to support deficit schools. And nothing's really happened on that for quite some time. We're now in a position where we have a number of schools with in a deficit position, and the Task and Finish group for the schools block were consulted on this and have taken the view that we should really distribute it. It's a small pot of money. There was discussion about maybe business cases having to be made for using the money, but it felt the burden of that was too great on schools that were already kind of under pressure. And as I say, we're talking about £55,000. I'll share my screen with the appendix and the bit of modelling that we did, because unfortunately, again, the attachment in your papers has come out weirdly across 2 pages. So I will share, and hopefully you will. See if I can share this. Okay, hopefully you can see that. And what we've done through the discussion with the Task and Finish group is to basically divvy the money up based on number on roll at the moment from the schools. So it comes out with the schools receiving the amounts in column H. And what we're looking for from the forum today is to vote their agreement that we can distribute this contingency pot.
Thank you.
So Brian or Luciana, if I could ask one of you to run the vote on that, or if there are any questions in the meantime.
I just said any questions. Darren, I don't know if because you're hearing the task and finish group on the schools block, did you want to share any additional information?
Hi, Brian. I needed to recuse myself from that discussion.
Oh, okay. From
that
that
went ahead without me.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just thinking from that meeting, we did have quite a long discussion regarding what was the best way of actually doing this, and come to the decision. There was quite a group of us on there about the fairest way was per pupil. As Angela stated, it was quite a small amount, really, in the big scheme of things.
Yes.
Often supporting a lot of the schools who are actually in need. So actually, the money is going to the right schools. So they're all going to have a benefit from this funding.
Yes, I don't think it's going to solve anybody's deficit problem, but it will go some way towards helping the schools that are, as you say, most in need.
Yes. Is there any other questions?
Brian, just for clarity, and before you put this to the vote, is this contingency fund just for maintained schools, or is it for academies as well?
It's just for maintained schools.
So as it is just for maintained schools, it's just the maintained school representatives that will vote on it.
Okay. Which there is only 3.
Okay.
Michelle vote as well. Luciana?
I don't think so. I think it's just for the maintained schools, only the schools that are going to be affected.
Okay. So of those, so Mark's not here. Or Julia, you're representing Mark. Are you for this transfer?
Yeah. I am concerned what's going to happen next year when more are going to be in deficit, but yeah.
Thank you. Nikki?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Okay, lovely. So that's been carried. So that money can be made to the schools that are in the need. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. School forums planning. Lucy, I just realised that we've got the school forum task finished groups. We just need to check the membership of those because we have got a couple of members who have left. In the schools block task and finish group, Darren, are you happy to continue as chair?
Yes, Brian, thank you.
Brilliant, thanks, Darren. Karina is left school forum now. She's enjoying retirement. So if anyone would like to join that schools block group, it does help looking at the indicative budgets that are coming through. Can I put your hand up now, or you could let myself or Luciana know at a later date. But it is quite a forward-thinking group about looking at working towards the fair funding formula. So we have moved quite significantly towards that. So that group has quite a unique place. So if anyone would like to be involved, please let us know. The high needs block, again, Karina has left, so there would be at least one more place there if anyone would like interested in there. Early years, Ian, Kerry and Karen, I think you are the 3 to keep continuing with that. Ian Morgan, are you?
Yeah, that's good for me.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. Is there any other business before we go to the forward planning, the next meeting? No, lovely. So next meeting, we are looking at covering revenue monitoring report, DSG management plan, safety valve update, proposed school block budget submission that will coming through. Hopefully we will have that. Luciana, sorry.
It has come to my attention that we haven't had a formal review of the Schools Forum's constitution for a number of years. And although we review the membership every year, the actual formal constitution that the council is now reviewing all sorts of constitutions for different bodies around the council. So I am talking to you, Brian, and to Ming about just refreshing the constitution, and it would require a formal
Okay.
Yeah, Schools Forum would have to just agree to it. There are not major changes, but things like, for example, we have moved to virtual meetings rather than in-person meetings. We don't no longer publish hard copies, and it's just reiterating what is the, it's just the practicality. It's just that we have a formal record of the workings of the. And I don't know, Brian, do you want that? I know the next meeting you're going to be looking at the budget, so perhaps at the March meeting, would that be a good time to bring the Constitution review to this?
I'm thinking.
I don't know if Ming has any views on this.
I think you can leave it to March. At the when I review it, I thought many about terminology. I think need to be updated. Some just now, colleagues just talk about whether trustee or governor, the kind of things. Yeah. I think if January if one is too busy, I look at the probably we can leave it in March. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I'm happy at that. I was looking at the January meetings, looking very full. So March would be good. Deborah, it'd be great to have you involved in looking at that Constitution as well.
Yeah, exactly. Happy to be involved, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Any other business? Lovely. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and week, and thanks for all your contributions. And thank you, especially Jonathan, for your preparation on the presentations of those two big matters that we had today. Ming and Jonathan, could you just hang